You didn't, or you did watch the Brady roast?
I only watched a little bit of it, so I've just seen clips, basically.
Which clips have you intentionally sought out clips?
No, absolutely not.
They're
I
flooding.
just see them as I'm bored, standing around doing nothing at work.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much my that's my news cycle. Is I sit there and death scroll the news or anything on my phone while I'm standing around doing nothing at work.
Nikki Glacier has been.
I've heard that she was the best.
Yeah, her. Well, I don't know about the best because Tony Hinchcliffe.
I have no idea who the fuck that is.
He did like a Kill Tony rendition, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what they do on his show, I
Yeah.
guess.
Well, it was like he's a comedian, but he was in the crowd.
Okay.
And so no one knew that he was going to participate in it. And then he got up, participated, and walked on stage, slayed everybody down the line.
Okay, I think I saw his clip where he just basically started at the end and kind of walked all the way down through everybody and roasted just everybody.
Yeah. I think that's probably me being sexist, though. I think I like Tony's more than Nikki's.
There's no way. He did good.
He did
good.
Remind
me of the liar scene when they was in the conference room. He's like, loser, idiot. You know,
yeah.
Yeah, so like I know like Nikki had some pretty pointed jokes like that you can tell like they were more focused from her perspective or women's perspective, like about like him and his pregnant ex-girlfriend and shit like that.
She was good. She was back to back. Like there was no dead time setting up the joke. It was like set up, punchline.
Right. And just
really quick
rolling through. So I've actually seen some of the stuff that she didn't do. Like she was on Stern right after it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So like she's like some of the other jokes that she had lined up that she didn't actually tell.
Yeah.
So
I forget who was it? Oh, it was what's the guy's name? The roast guy. What's his name?
Kevin?
No, not the host.
Oh, Tom?
No.
What?
The bald guy. He's like the main roast guy. Jeff?
Oh, yeah.
Is it Jeff?
Yeah.
He said a joke, something about Robert Kraft and the massages. Massages.
Oh,
and then
you saw that? Yeah.
And then Brady got up. Was that a real thing?
He said, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, he's like, hey, don't say that shit again.
Yeah.
Was that real or is it fake?
Courtney looked it up while we were watching it, and she said that there's no beef or anything, but I think,
it didn't look like it, but
Tom was so like worried up there that I don't think he would get up and do that at that moment. He looked so nervous, and he was
he looked very uncomfortable from what I could tell, but like he let it go, right? Like he signed up for it, so like
you can see all of his emotions in his eyes. Like he's like, and when they started really popping off on his wife or his ex-wife, is like fuck. The real good one was like the rings. You remember they're like, you have 8 rings. Well, no, I don't forget how much rings he has, but he's like, you have 7 rings. Oh, 8 for the one Giselle gave back to you. I was like, fuck.
That was Nikki, wasn't it?
Probably.
Dude.
Everybody had overlapping jokes, though. I don't know if they talked to each other before the roast, but a lot of people hit on the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, I didn't know how awkward. I don't watch football, so I didn't know how awkward Tom Brady was.
He's pretty awkward.
Well, I think he's just really protective of his image.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
so too. And so like that was probably very uncomfortable for him.
What a awesome dude though to agree to do it though.
Well, yeah, I mean that's also his image though.
Right?
Right? Like it's so that he's not so fucking uptight. This is all gonna roll into him doing commentary in the NFL or something. Like it's gonna roll into something. It's loosening up his image so he's not so fucking uptight, stick up the ass, and like he can take a joke. So now that all this is out there, right? Now people can joke with him about it, and he can like play it off as from the roast and not take it personal.
Right.
So it just changes the whole dynamic. So now anything and everything's been said. So he can completely go and roll with anything whenever it comes up in the future.
Yeah.
Damn,
so
dude.
It just takes all the pressure off any future interactions about any of this shit.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Pretty good little observation. That is, because there's so much dirt on some of those situations they hit on, all the roasters hit on. So it's like you can't. They've prepped for those jokes, you know. Like,
for sure.
Oh, yeah.
People just talking
absolutely.
bullshit on the comments. It can't amount to like a professional comedian coming up with a joke about
killing you like
your
that.
worst. Yeah, your worst times in life.
I think that speaks pretty highly of his character. Him and knowing that, going through the divorce and knowing that the comedians are gonna just dive in on that.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a lot of guts, dude. I don't know. Think about
but I mean, it's completely, we can't relate, right? We're not
Right.
public figures. We're not used to this shit day in, day out.
Right.
Like his life's been in the, I mean, I know you guys are big shots now and you're getting used to it.
We got 10 people pissed off at you right now.
We had 2 comments last week on YouTube.
Yeah, from your friend.
Friends or acquaintances?
Good
Our
best
friends.
friend.
Like
probably
best friends.
My best-
Yeah.
Mom friend.
Couldn't get any more closer. That's funny.
Dude, how about the opening? The opening, like they had that, someone made this like CGI like model of Tom Brady and like all the bullets getting, it's like a really good thing. And then he comes out and everybody's like, and then he's like, thank you. And then he just says, let's do this thing.
Yeah.
And it was like,
let's go. That's what
Yeah,
his thing says.
Did
Well,
he make
yeah,
that?
because isn't that like his thing
That's his
from?
catchphrase.
Let's go. That's what he always
Well,
says.
he did it for
yeah, the advertisement.
yeah, for car rental place, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
So
That was his Instagram every week. Then he'd be
for his TB12 and shit.
TB12
Yeah.
Instagram shit.
Dude, that thing blew up, especially Rogan, dude. He's always like, let's fucking go. Like,
Yeah,
it's like better than
I didn't
fucking
know.
Nike shit.
I didn't know that his TB12 is vegan shit.
They tore into his ass about that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I
He's
thought it
always-
was.
Well, I don't know much about it either. It's actually vegan.
Apparently, I didn't really.
Apparently,
look into
he's
it.
vegan too.
Mostly vegan.
Yeah.
He's like secretive about it though. I started watching interviews. He was on the documentary Game Changers.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, him and Giselle were when they were married.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and they talked about eating mostly plant-based. And so I went back and looked at it, and the way they worded in there, they leave it open.
Right.
They do eat meat, but they proclaim that they're mostly, vegetarian or vegan.
Well,
Right.
when they say that normally, it's like they're vegan, but they're sometimes vegetarian. It's not like the most extreme. Sometimes they're pescatarian. They just have
Yeah.
like fish. So sometimes it's just those little things. And it's not like, oh, we just fuck around sometimes and eat everything.
Yeah.
Some people can't just go all the way. They want
No.
to do like fish or eggs or cheese.
Yeah, but which one is it? Is TB12.
We'll never know.
Because Kevin Hart, he's vegan, right? He
Is
has
he?
vegan. Yeah, he has vegan restaurants.
Kevin Hart's vegan?
100. Well, that's what he claims to be.
Shit.
I can't fucking keep up.
I'm just like really in the vegan.
Well, yeah, that's
carnivore
because you're
bullshit,
all
but-
like
I did
weird.
not know that.
You're like anti-vegan and
I'm like
trying to
yeah.
like kill them.
Yeah,
I'm
Like
surprised
I'm
not
pretty,
wearing the
pretty sure you
shirt.
have some of them locked in your basement somewhere.
I have to get a smaller size.
That's
The mediums.
because he's not vegan anymore.
That's because I've been vegan now.
You wore that shirt like the last.
Oh,
8
intentionally.
podcasts.
Yeah, intentionally.
Yeah, I don't know the difference between the podcast.
I'm
I'm editing them like, is this?
Oh
another
yeah,
one?
I gotta do that too. When I'm editing the podcast, I'm like, fuck, which one? I have to look at what you're
You have to
wearing.
look at me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty good about changing. Not anymore though.
Yeah.
I put this
Yeah,
stupid
that's I
sweater
think a
on.
bad sign. If you guys can't tell which interview you did because you're wearing the same clothes, you
Yeah.
should probably stop.
Well, we just want to keep it. We're normal people. We're just like everybody else.
I put my shoes on just like
Joe Rogan does.
Right. You don't change your underwear
Yeah.
between shows.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
put my shoes on just like Joe Rogan
My
does.
secretary puts them on just like every other person in the secretary. You remember that Ellen podcast? Or not podcast, but she had a special a long time ago called Relatable.
Mm-mm.
And she said all that same shit. She like, I walk in my mansion just like everybody. Like it's pretty fucking good. I don't
That's
know.
funny.
The whole thing's like that. And it's called
I love-
Relatable. And it's like she
I
just
love
goes the other way.
Ellen. I
Yeah.
love Ellen. It's hard not to like her.
Didn't you like the one where she like ate the sandwich?
That was
whole-
her first.
yeah.
That was her first stand-up special. Did you see that?
I haven't.
Her
no.
first stand-up special was when, she was at a comedy club. Her friends, convinced her to go stand up or to do a stand-up open mic night. And
Okay.
she took a Burger King up there, a Whopper, and the whole time she would take a bite. She was like, I think she said, "Hello, my name's Ellen. I can't wait to do, but I'm just real hungry. I need to squeeze in a bite to eat." So then she was like, she took a bite, and then she'd be like she was about to say something, she'd hold her finger up and be like, and then she'd take another bite, and she ended up doing that the entire set. So she didn't say a single joke, but the joke was that she was hungry, and she just ate an entire burger for her opening set, and that was her first stand-up special.
It did pretty good. Like her mannerisms were enough to be funny.
Obviously did it a lot funnier than what I just showed you, but
I don't know. That was pretty amazing. I'm dying on the inside.
He's falling asleep.
I'm holding it together just because I'm on camera.
Maybe I didn't explain it good enough. But.
Exhilarating.
Yeah. I'll shut the fuck up now.
Yeah, it's tough to explain that one, but.
So are you still running?
No.
No.
Let's talk about what you used to do.
What did I used to do?
That you didn't take credit for any of these races. You just wanted to run to support people and and how much you ran and how stupid.
How much stupid shit did I used to do? So running for me was never about the spotlight, right? Like I never really ran for myself. I started running again when I went through my divorce. And I had run in high school, and I'd learned how to run well. I knew what you're supposed to do. But when I started running again, it was all just kind of getting out of my head, and all the normal shit that everyone says about running, you get outside, you do stuff. But I hated running on the road, so I would only run on trails. But I never wanted to run distance. It was just go in. I ran fast, ran 5Ks. That was about it. And that was my thing. And I just was doing it kind of for myself to get back in condition, and then kind of just get to a point where my motives were to be in good enough shape that any opportunity that came up, I would always feel good enough to be able to go do. And so that was running for me. 6 to 10 miles was about the furthest I would ever run. Fast forward to some of the guys that I was running with, mainly the guys that I connected with. One of his I guess his bucket list items was to do rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon.
And what does that entail?
So it's running across the Grand Canyon and then back. It ends up being a 42-mile run, I think, with the route that we were supposed to do. And so rims are 8,000 feet. Bottom of the canyon's 2.5, 3. So you're going up and down 4,000 feet, and then 21 miles across and 21 miles back.
And there's no one's gonna save you. You get hurt, you're fucked.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to get life flighted,
because you're doing it when we did it in April, so it was just opening up, right? Because you're trying to avoid the heat of the canyon, so you're trying to get everything planned out. So water's just getting turned on the trail, everything's got to be perfect, so you can avoid all this stuff, right? So everyone plans this all out, and they do all this research and shit, and I don't plan that stuff out. I just kind of fucking go with it. So I'm just letting these guys do their thing. So it's my buddy Rob. It's his bucket list item. He had tried to do it before, and he had to drop because he got hurt, or I don't even know what. But he didn't finish the first time he tried to do it. So So I'd gotten close to Rob, and he had been talking about it, and I travel all the time, so I had all these frequent flyer miles. So I'm like, dude, pick a day, I'll fucking fly you out there. We'll get this shit done. And I have never run this far in my life. Never even attempted it. Furthest I had ever run, probably before I agreed to do this, was probably maybe 15 miles.
God.
So, but I ran. I knew how to run. I could run the distance. It was never worried about that. And you're doing it slow. So Rob's doing it, and then Adam, who ends up being the guy that I did all the ultras and stuff with, he's running in the same group that I'm running in. And he's like, fuck yeah, I'll go. I'll do it too. So that's how the three of us started running together. It's just doing this fucking trip. So Rob's got it all planned out. So he's tried it before, knows all the things. He's super fucking heady and doing all the research and planning it all out, right? And he's got his plan. We're supposed to fly out and have everything set up. I'm in Virginia Beach before the week before for work. I'm supposed to fly back, and then on like Thursday night, turn around, fly back out Friday. And we've totally gone off topic, but now we're telling you about this trip.
Yeah.
So, my flight from Virginia Beach gets fucking canceled. So I'm in Virginia Beach Thursday night. There's storms going through the whole fucking U.S. So like, there's problems with all air travel everywhere. I jump in a car, drive 10 hours.
No.
Back home. I get home at like 10 in the morning, and our flight's supposed to be at like 1:30. So I crash for a little bit and get up, start heading to the airport. We start getting texts that our flights are delayed. And so I'm like on the like group chat with Rob and Adam, and we're trying to figure this all out. And we really don't know what the fuck to do. So we're just like, let's just get to the airport, let's figure out what's going on, and then we'll just keep going. And I'm totally confused right now. Hold on one second. I got to figure out where we're going.
So you have the late flights, and then
all right. So we get to the airport. Our original flight's delayed. Our whole itinerary is fucked. So we're trying to get them to get us on a flight. So we get them to book us on something, and we get to Minneapolis. Because the goal is just to get to Minneapolis, and then once we're in the airport system, we're stuck, we're basically relying on them to get us unstuck. So long as we start, we're gonna trust that they'll get us somewhere eventually. So we get to Minneapolis, we miss our connection, like everything's canceled. We're like going and talking to everybody, and we're like, can you get us anywhere within like a 200-mile radius of the Grand Canyon? And we're trying to go to Vegas, we're trying to go to like LA, we're trying to go to Tucson, like anywhere in Arizona, like just get us close. The closest that they said that they could get us, that they could confirm all of us, because we're on 3 separate itineraries. So like we're all like bought tickets separately. So like I have my status, so like I can go in the priority lines, but they can't. So we're just trying to like just go and cut and get everyone in the same place. And eventually we're pretty much thinking that we're sleeping at the airport, and the whole trip is fucked. And so we're just like bumming around. I eventually get into a line where something got canceled. They finally like, we're in the airport at like 1:30 in the morning, and they call in and go and drag people out of hotel rooms for flight attendants to they make a flight at 3 in the morning. All their attendants are over hours, so they're completely flying all these flights illegally.
No way.
Oh yeah, because the fines that the federal government's fining them for flying their people over hours is less than the fees that they're gonna pay to keep all these people in the airport.
That's America for you.
Hell yeah.
So like they're just totally like breaking the rules, and they're like they don't even care. So 3 in the morning we had on a flight, and I had canceled all of our reservations and everything in Arizona. So we end up landing, and I'm like on my phone trying to book shit as we're taking off in the plane. Well, it's after midnight, so like I don't realize that I'm not booking for that night. I'm booking for the next night.
Oh no.
So we land, and none of my fucking reservations were right. I'm like, fuck. So we go to the hotel that I thought I booked for. And they're like, yeah, no, we're sold out. Like, we can't give you a room.
You had a bunch of red flags you weren't listening to.
You once you start, you got to keep going. Like, it's all perseverance and overcoming all this shit. So we're there. I ended up talking to like the hotel manager, and they're like, well, we're booked out for tonight, like, but we can give you a room for a couple hours. So like, you got to be out of that room by like 1 p.m. It's like 5 in the morning.
Like them love making hours, huh?
So we're basically booking this. We're staying in this hotel by the hour. And so like so at this point I had been up since Thursday morning. It's Friday at like 1. I had been up like over almost 2 days straight at this point. So it's Saturday morning. I've been up since work Thursday morning because I drove through the night to get home to begin with. Then I flew all night to get to Arizona. And I go to sleep and I crash for a couple hours. And like just leaving it to Rob and Ab, like when I wake up, they have this plan. I'm like,
doesn't sound like
all right. So we were supposed to like just hang out and drive up to the Grand Canyon that night, and then like Rob had booked a spot in the Grand Canyon to stay, and I guess like there were issues with the Grand Canyon where part of the trail was closing during the day that we had to avoid certain hours because they were doing repair work on one of the bridges on the north side of the canyon. So like we had to avoid when it was all going to get closed. So their plan becomes we're going to drive up to the Grand Canyon that day. We're going to go buy all the supplies we need and stuff because we didn't have like all of our food stuff for the run. And we still go to REI or something, or I don't know, fucking Rob has got all his vegan weird shit that he's got to, so we probably had to go to like Whole Foods to like buy him vegan sheets and shit so he can sleep. I don't know. But we were kind of getting through all this done. All the rentals are in my name, and so like they don't want to drive, so I am doing all the driving too. I'm fucking slept for 2 hours, 3 hours in the past 2 days. And their plan is to start at 11 p.m. and run through the night in order to avoid the bridge. So we have to get up. We got to cross the bridge, get up to the North Rim, come back down across the bridge before it closes. And so, like, their plan is like, all right, this is going to take us how long and all of this shit. They've got it all figured out. So we drive up there. We sleep again for a couple hours. And it's just so they're kind of like know what the hell they're into. I'm like just along for the ride because like whatever, doesn't matter. I'm just there to kind of keep them going. We're there to get Rob to get this done because he overthinks all this shit. Like if he's not comfortable, like he's like super quick to like freak out. So Rob, we're kind of like conditioning Rob, getting Rob all comfy, making Rob feel good. We sleep for a couple more hours. We pack up. We start hiking out and getting ready to go do this run. We start at 11 o'clock, running through the night. 2 miles in, Adam rolls his ankle.
Dude.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, bad enough, like, torn ligaments bad.
Oh, my gosh.
2 miles in?
2 miles in. Rolls his ankle. And Adam's dumb. Like, just fucking... He's a
loser.
Well, him and Adam can tolerate pain like nobody's business. Just to give you some.
So like I said, Adam's just dumb. But Adam's like, I'm not going to be the reason that Rob does not get this bucket list done. So he's like, all right, let's keep going. So he's like, we don't really know how bad his ankle is at this point, but like it looked painful. But he's like, all right, let's keep going. We keep going. We get down to the bottom of the canyon. So we've done the whole descent down the South Rim. We're 6-7 miles in at this point. We do our first stop and we kind of like eat something and do all that. Don't think we're puking yet, but we're getting close. So we fill up our water and we start heading back across the canyon, and Adam steps on like an uneven rock with his bad ankle, fucking just drops to the fucking ground right into a cactus.
Oh no. There's all the red flags.
Oh, it's like the worst story in the world.
This is great. No, like, so we're like headlights on, like trying to pull like fucking cactus spines out of Adam's like ass. Like he's like got him completely up his side. So Adam is having the worst run of his life. And Rob's still doing good at this point. So Rob hasn't like lost his shit yet. I'm just like along for the ride. Like never run this far. Just like all right, we got this. Just keep going. Adam, we dig out all the shit. We pull out all the spines out of like he's still got like the little spines in his gloves and everything. He's like feeling them every time he's moving. He's totally uncomfortable, but he's just going. We start running across the canyon. We get across the canyon to like the next stop where we get water again. And that's when the puking starts. So Adam's puking, like, because at this point, Adam still is he's done a lot of ultras at this point, but he was super, like, didn't know what the fuck he was doing either. Like, when he started running, and he was like, his first 100-mile run, he did strictly on gels. Damn. And if you've ever run, like, you guys have started to run, like, if you run on gels, they fuck up your stomach. Like, that is not a way to run. So his first run, he ran completely on gels. Like, at some point, he did a run where he was using ibuprofen for painkillers. Ended up in the hospital with kidney shit, like where he actually like had to go to the hospital after a 100-mile run because his kidneys were failing.
Jeez, pump it out or what?
I don't know the fucking details, but I know he's just like, so he's like, he can do the distance, but like he doesn't actually know how to fuel himself right. Like every time he's getting sick and he's just running through it, like miserable experiences. He's just doing it to get it done, and so he's puking up all his fucking gels and stuff. So like Adam is just totally off the rails at this point. Rob's like, should we keep going? Like we're like, no,
we're trying to get out.
We're just gonna keep fucking going, right? So we get all the way across and we're starting to go up, getting ready to go up the North Rim, and Rob loses his fucking shit. So Rob like starts getting vertigo, falling over, like can't stand up. He's trying to think like what some of the stuff he said. So we've got a GoPro and we're recording him with a GoPro. And he's talking about the canyon fucking him in his pussy, and like he like can't get this, he can't do this run, and he's like totally off the rails. And he went from like being mostly fine to just completely off the rails. Can't walk in a straight line. Like he'd stand up and he'd start walking, and he'd like start going off to the side and fall on the side of the trail.
Jeez.
We're getting ready to go up the North Rim. You've got a 4-foot ledge and a 1,000-foot drop.
Oh my gosh.
So like if he can't stand up, that's not a good day. So we're like trying to get him like reset, like trying to get him to puke, or like trying to like try to figure out what the hell's going on. Trying to give him stuff like ibuprofen or like anything to reset, like salt tablets or whatever. He's too fucking stubborn. He thinks he knows what the hell's going on, so he refuses everything. And so then we're just trying to get him moving. And so we get him like walking, death marching up this fucking. You gotta remember, it's still dark out. We can't see shit. We don't even know like that the edge is right there. He's walking on the inside. Adam's walking beside him. I'm walking on the edge of the trail, and we're just like death marching up the Grand Canyon on the North Rim, and so we're just keep going. We keep going, and finally the sun comes up. Like then everyone starts to like, that's like that moment like, oh, you know what? There's hope. Like everything starts to click. You're starting to feel warm again. Like,
yeah. Was it cold overnight?
It was probably down in like the 40s.
So pretty chilly.
So I mean, not terrible, especially since you're moving.
If you're not moving, if you're
right, like if
you're puking and stuff,
right, like so, like at times, like it's cold, but for the most part, like we're moving. Like so, yeah, like Adam had gloves on. I remember he had gloves on because he had cactus all in his gloves. So it had to be chilly enough. I don't remember exactly, but I know there was snow up on the North Rim because we at the top we were throwing snowballs at each other. So like, so Rob's like going up, right? And we get to where like the point. So basically we're past the point of no return for the most part because like there's no good way out. Like you either turn around and give up or you just keep going. We're close. So Rob's like death marching up, can barely stand up, like can't even like do anything. Adam's hobbling along behind him. Like, so Adam and I are talking back behind Rob and we're like, dude, what the fuck are we going to do? Like, are we going to like bail on this? Are we going to like try to like call rescue? Cause it's like from the North Rim to the South Rim, it's like a 6-hour fucking drive or whatever because there's no way across. So you're either getting Aeromed out or you're getting someone to drive you all the way around the Grand Canyon. And so we're talking about it and they're like, well, maybe we're going to try to post like, so Adam's like going to do a post on Facebook or Instagram or whatever and try to get like some feedback and get some morale boost for Rob when he's up there.
That was the point.
So good plan. Yeah, why not? I'm like, all right, dude, whatever.
I'm surprised you had service out there.
We only got service very like right at the North Rim. So like Adam and I are like trying to like game plan like what the hell we're gonna do when we get to the top. And we're like, well, maybe we just gotta wait and see what's going on. We get up to the top and we're sitting there and Adam's on his phone trying to like post shit and has shitty service. So like nothing's really going well. And then we're just kind of sitting there talking with Rob and all of a sudden like Rob's gone. Like, where the fuck did Rob go?
Fell off.
No, he like, so Rob just turned around and fucking went down. Like started going back. Like,
did y'all go all the way up?
Oh yeah, we made it all the way up.
He's just ready to
go. So yeah, like we did our break. We like we stocked everything. We got water, and we're just kind of like we're sitting there trying to like figure out like, are we gonna try to make this back across? Because we're out at this point. We can get help. So Rob's fucking in the bag. Adam can barely walk. Like I'm the only one that is like, all right, like what are we doing, guys? Like I didn't plan any of this shit. I've never done these runs. So like I really have no idea. But physically I'm fine. Other than I hadn't slept for shit. Like I've slept 6 hours maybe in 3.5 days.
Damn.
And so like all of a sudden Rob's took off and went back down the fucking canyon on his way back. And so like Adam and I like finally figure out where the fuck Rob is. And we start like, oh shit. Like, so we start running. We don't catch him for like 30 minutes and we're running. So like at this point, Rob had recovered enough and felt good enough to actually start running down the canyon. And so like, by the time we catch him, we're mostly back down the canyon, and like we're thinking like, okay, Rob's got his shit back together, like he's kind of getting it, like we got this. Get to the bottom of the canyon, and Rob's done, and we're like, and now we're at the bottom of the canyon again.
Fuck, man.
So Rob can't run anymore, like that. He's done. Like, and he's just exhausted. So we're now walking across the canyon. So we've done the 21 miles across. We've done like 6 miles back down. We're like, all right, well, I guess this is it. We're death marching across the bottom of the canyon, the whole flat across the bottom. We're just strolling the park. It's now like 85, 90 degrees.
Ooh.
So we're baked in the sun, and it's like, well, whatever. We're still moving. Like Rob's like resting every time that there's shade. Like we're getting across, like, but it's slow. And we just, that's like getting across.
So at this point, you're like 31, 33 miles in, somewhere around there? In the 30s?
Yeah, we're in the 30s.
Sheesh.
So, but like once you're in, like you're in. Like
yeah, you're committed at that point.
So that's kind of like has always been, at least like my thing with Adam. Like when we go and do this shit, we always built in like it's always difficult to get out. It's difficult to quit. So you just had to keep going. And that was kind of our part of our thing. But in this one, it's just like, that's just the nature of the beast. Like once you start, you gotta get through. So like, that's why we were like contemplating at the top of the North Rim, like this is our escape point. We can actually get out. But when Rob went back down, it's like, we're in this for the long haul, I guess.
Were y'all wanting to end up there? Were y'all kind of like talking
like
about
it was such a shit show, right? Like you said, like all these red flags, like at some point, like when are you gonna give in and be like, hey, this is probably just a bad idea? Yeah, we just kept going right past every single one of those red flags. Shit. So we're just death marching. Like that's a lot of ultra running though, right? Like so at some point, like you're in the middle of this stuff, you don't feel good, you're just grinding it out. We get to the bottom and we just have the last climb out. So we're across all the flats and we're just climbing out. And at this point it's miserable. Like it's hot. We're out of water. We just fill up water. We've been dehydrated. Like we can't, like no one's running ever. Like, so Rob's just like going up and he's every single, like, so Rob in general is a pretty happy-go-lucky, like kind of like positive energy sort of guy. Every single person he sees, he's complaining about. Completely opposite of his character. Like everything is annoying him. Like just so it's all switchbacks. So every switchback, we're stopping at the corner in the shade and we're sitting down. We managed to walk across, we sit down. We managed to walk across another one, we sit down. It's like just like this slow death march. And like there's like this is obviously touristy stuff, right? So there's all these tourists coming down and like he's commenting on how unprepared every single one of these tourists are. However, we're all over prepared and we can't fucking march up either. So like it's just like the irony is just rich. Well, so like it's totally not like you have these visions of what these runs are like, and it's not that at all. So this is my first experience doing like an ultra sort of type thing, and there's not a single thing that went right. And that was my introduction to ultra running, right? Damn. So it's completely different from what the ideals are, but that is what it was always about for me, because I was there to support the whole time. So that's what ultra running was. So the whole point of this, the beginning of what I was going to say is ultra running for me was never about the runs, the distance, none of that shit ever mattered. It was about supporting the people that I was with. And when it came to that, like I hadn't slept, I hadn't done anything. I was totally unprepared for all this. But because it was about supporting someone else, it was super easy for me. So I managed to do that whole run. I'd never gone that distance, never done that environment. Like none of that was all completely unfamiliar to me. But because it was focused on other people, it was super easy.
That's the best position to be in. When we started running, I just popped off of a marathon training, and they were just John and James were just getting in. So I was like fucking conditioned, boy. And I was running like 7-minute miles, and I would run with them and just kind of lead them along. And I would get them into, I think y'all were in the 10s and then the 9s, and then we were getting into 8s, and then eventually we were running like high 7s. But I was always the support. I needed to make it so that they know it was possible.
Right.
And so like when you're not worried about yourself, it's a really nice spot to be in. But when you're the person behind, it sucks. When you're the person behind, like struggling, it's like, when is this going to end? Whereas your support role, I have to make it so that, I don't want to be the one that falls off. But we got pretty crazy. We would do Sunday runs and I think we did a 15, 17, I think
like 17, 18 miles. Yeah.
Hicks was following these girls on social media and was like, oh, they ran a 17-mile run. Maybe we should do it. And we were like, okay. And we just went in this park that you had to run laps, basically.
Right.
And we were just running forever.
Right. And then you guys eventually built up and did a 50 together, right?
50K.
Yeah.
50K?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was from here to Lake Jackson.
Okay.
All on roads, which
was awful.
Which just and I did it in minimalist shoes.
Yeah.
I remember when you were that dumb.
Our dogs were just barking, boy. Well, I was going to segue into, so now that after the whole rim to rim, you and Adam had become like really used to this shit and used to the shit and the pain cave, and y'all had all these like tools and techniques to read your body.
Well, I mean, yes and no. Like that was the first run I ever did with Adam. Like that was it. Like, that was so after that is when Adam's like, so Adam had done, it's like I don't remember. I think they call it the Midwest Grand Slam, which is 500-mile runs around in the Midwest. He had done that, I think that year or the year before. It must have been the year before because it was April. So like he had started doing it, but I didn't run any of those with him. Right.
Oh, okay.
So that was the first time, like that was how I met and kind of started running with Adam. After that, he's like, hey, so he did all the Midwest stuff. He kind of was getting boring for him. So then he wanted harder shit. So for harder shit for him was he looked to the mountains. Like that was his harder shit. So he's like, hey, I'm going to do this 100-mile ultra. And he's like, I need a pacer. He's like, you want to pace for me? I'm like, sure. Why not? What could fucking go wrong? So yeah, like I had never actually paced for him. I never run with him outside of really that run. And that was the beginning. So from that, like there's lots of fucking stories that came about because of that. So and then I like started pacing with him, and then I started actually training with him, and then we started doing our own fucking runs that got dumber and dumber and dumber.
What was that instance where you fell off the trail?
So like that was out at Bigfoot 200.
Oh, so you did Bigfoot, okay.
Yeah, so 2017 in April is when we did Rim to Rim to Rim. I think High Lonesome was that year, which was a 100-miler in like Buena Vista area, Colorado, like the where your dad, like I think your dad rafts out there on Arkansas.
Salida?
Yes. So it starts like Buena Vista, Salida, like all right in that area.
Because Leadville's kind of by there too, right?
Yeah, Leadville's further north.
Yeah.
So, because I had run out there doing, what is it? The hell's the name of the run? It was a stage race out in Colorado. So I had done 3 days of a 6-day stage race out there and kind of run some of that stuff.
Yeah.
And I'd done that myself, but that wasn't with Adam, or that was all before that.
Shit.
So, yeah, so like that was the first time I actually paced with Adam, was High Lonesome. And it was a 100-miler. He had to run the first 100. I had never met his wife, so it was the first time I met Amy. So like I was traveling there from work, so I'm pretty sure that I'd never met Amy. I flew out there. I got into, like, they had rented a VRBO or an Airbnb house or something I got there like 1 a.m. because I was traveling from work. So I had worked all day Thursday or Friday or whatever, and like I missed packet pickup, missed all the shit that you're supposed to be at. Like just show up and like, all right, let's fucking do this. Never paced anybody, like never run in like that area, never run that stuff with Adam. Met him at the 50-mile mark. We were late, so he almost left without us because like it took us forever to drive up to the aid station because the roads obviously out there, like it's hit or miss. You get on the backcountry roads and stuff, they're a lot slower than you think they are. So it's not like driving in the Midwest or in Texas where you can drive 90 everywhere you go. It's like driving 9, and that's closer to if you're driving 9, you're going fast. So we were almost late, and he was about to take off. So we got there just before he left the aid station. And I was like, all right, let's fucking do this. So, like, I've got all my fucking trekking poles, and I'm all decked out, ready to go. It's raining. Like, so I'm dry. He just put on dry clothes, like, head out. First fucking thing I do is, like, step in a bunch of fucking water. So my shoes are soaking wet 10 feet down the trail.
Love it.
So this is still like Adam's still fueling mostly on gel and shit. Like first aid station we go to, he's fucking puking. So like we ran like there, but then it was like from there, like he's puking like behind the aid station. I'm just fucking hanging out like, all right, like whatever. I've only run like 6 miles at this point, so I'm good. He's like puking. This July, so like we're expecting it's like whatever. It's been raining, but like it's 70 raining. We go from there and we start climbing up to the top of a ski resort up at like 13,000 feet on top of this ridge. And we're start this climb. First, like 2 miles in, I break one of my trekking poles.
Damn. So
now I'm down to one trekking pole. We're climbing up this and like can't see shit. Like it got rainy and now it started to sleet and starting to snow up on top. Like this is my first time doing any of this shit in the mountains where the weather's really bad. I'm pretty sure like every scrap of clothing that we were carrying we put on because it's like now 30 degrees and like the wind's blowing and like we're fucking freezing our asses off. Wow. It's all like you can't see anything, so I'm like running up ahead trying to find the flags so that as Adam's like slowly death marching behind me, it's like trying to find like here's the path, here's the trail. Like it's dark out, we're like using headlamps and flashlights to try to find the reflectors and stuff. And like that's the sort of shit like that we went like right into. Like there really wasn't any really great this run went perfect. Like there was no perfect runs. There was all chaos all the time. Like there was something fucked up with every single thing that we did pretty much I can't really think of any run that we've ever done that really went well.
But y'all finished them.
Well, yeah. Because I mean that's who Adam is. Like Adam was one of those guys like you don't quit. So like no matter what, unless there were like bones sticking out, like he used to. So when before I ran with Adam, he was like super organized and super planned. He would send out like schedules of like what he wanted at every aid station. Like he had like, I need this many gels and I need this and you need to check this and you need to do all this. And like he had checklists for all of the people helping him at every aid station and like super organized. He'd send out a whole email list to everybody associated, like listing all this stuff. And by the time I got done running with Adam would run off gas station food and like have Snickers bars and that was his fuel. Right? Like just throw shit in a pack and let's go. So like he completely changed like from being super organized to just reveling in the chaos.
Go with the flow.
Yeah.
Drinks, 1, 2, 3, you want me to go? Did you get the check-ins from from JVS from Jon? The check-ins, like like if we did a long run, Mike would do the check-in, like, hey, how you feeling?
Oh, they did that already. Yeah. So I ran once with Adam and Rob and him at Picture Rock in Michigan, and I was not trained. I was probably rolling in like him. He wasn't trained at all, but he doesn't stop. But we flew up there, and that was a 40-mile run.
Yeah, that was like 45, somewhere in there.
So I was untrained, but I was like, I got to 20, and I was like, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
And they have this random Ziploc of just pills and shit that like from doctor kit or whatever.
Well, that's funny because like Adam knows what all that shit is. Like I have no fucking
They're all
clue.
different pills in there, and he's like, "What do you want?" And he's like looking. He goes, "I think you should take this." But I didn't know, but you basically need to take a salt tablet every, like once you're at that point. I started taking a salt tablet maybe every half a mile or something. I was just taking it. No, because my calves were just fucking started glitching out on me, dude. And at 20, and I was like, shit. And so I take the tablet, and it would get better, but the span of time shortened as we kept running. So I was getting to the point where I was like fucking just cramping up, and we were like pumping water out of the river, like with like filters. And I was like, I don't know if we get sick from this shit. It was cold enough, apparently.
It's fine.
That's always his thing, is it's fine, but it's never fine. So
no, did you die?
The fine one is we went to Big Bend, whatever. And we were it was a 30-miler, supposedly. And so this little roundabout, you get fucked if you don't make it, because it gets dark and apparently really fucking cold. So he's preparing, like as we're about to run out or whatever, he has like trekking poles. He has like this reflective blanket thing in case it gets too cold, a rescue thing. He told me 100 times to buy Ultra shoes, and I was in the minimalist mindset. I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll get trail minimalist shoes. I bought the Ultras too. I just didn't bring them. And then I was so minimal. I had little shorts, fucking shirt, hat, and those shoes. And he had all this gear, and he had a backpack, and he had like all of his supplements. And I was like, you don't need all this shit, dude.
You're telling him that shit.
Yeah, he's telling me this. Yeah.
30 miles. So we get started, and I'm running up the trails and down the trails. He's like, well, we normally just kind of walk up, and then we'd run down. And then if it's flat, you jog. And I'm like, it'd be really cool to just run this whole thing. And so I'm all fucking high and mighty. And the first kind of thing is there's switchbacks for about 4 miles down with just a shit ton of rocks, like big rocks, small rocks. You slip on your ass if you want.
Little rock, Rob.
But he's letting me lead, and I'm fucking hitting off rocks, fucking doing 360s and shit. I'm fucking doing all these fucking moves. And I get,
I can fucking see
bullshit, I'm doing all this tippy toe shit. Also because I have the barefoot shoes, so I don't want to put a lot of impact on my feet because it starts to fucking hurt. So probably 4 miles.
Yeah, how'd that go for you?
4. We go down those switchbacks for 4 fucking miles, and I'm like, and then my fucking quads are fucking done.
Hell yeah!
And so we get to the bottom, and I'm like,
I don't know.
I think maybe we should walk this whole thing. maybe jog. And then so slowly I start to acquire his gear because he's good. And I'm like, hey, he goes, do you want to wear my shoes? And I'm like, yeah. Yeah, my feet are fucking tender. Tender as fuck. And so I wear his shoes, and I'm just fucking just like dead. So we go in this like dried up riverbed, which is just a bunch of just shitty little rocks that move. So it's like running in fucking sand, basically. Yeah. And I'm running along, and I'm still trailing, or I'm still heading the leading the pack. Because he's letting me, not, he's not like, I'm not just faster or anything. So then I just fucking trip on my own feet and land on my face in this rocks. And he goes, and he's just bullshit Jonathan. So he's like, you okay, buddy? And I said, leave me the fuck alone. I was like diva as fuck because I'm not trained for this shit either. So we get to this house. There's like
mind you, this was his idea.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
We'll keep it like that. So we get to this like abandoned house where we like start to fuel up on like bars and stuff. And I'm like, dude, I don't know about this. And it's like starting to, like, we don't have enough water.
Oh yeah.
We don't have enough water. So we get to this halfway point and there's a parking lot and I'm like, dude, we're going to die out here. And there's like this bear protected container. And we open it and there's a fucking 24 pack of waters.
Oh shit.
And we're like, oh my gosh. So we start pouring the shit in our little count packs and like grab a few. And at this point it's getting dark and we're like maybe a little further than halfway. And so I'm fucking dragging ass and he's like, do you want to use my poles? And I'm like, and I was talking shit I was like, what does it do? Like, is it helpful? I mean, why don't you just use your legs? I couldn't have done it without the poles. I was like really putting a lot of weight in these poles and I didn't know how to use them. But anyways, we go on this thin trail that's like probably a foot wide and everything else, the grass is growing out like 6 feet in the air. And you just read all these signs. There's bears out here. There's fucking cats out here. There's snakes. There's fucking spiders. And I'm just fucking going. And I'm like, please don't get mauled by a fucking bear. And so we just go forever. We see some people camping out. They're like, what the fuck are y'all doing out here? Like pretty much. Because if you do this trail, you're camping. Like you don't do it in one day. Like people are
really?
People have huge.
Sane people don't.
Okay.
People have huge backpacks, like doing the same trail, and they're like, "Where's all your gear? Like, are you fucking retarded?" So then I diva out because we're like the last mile is a 1,000 foot incline, and I'm dead, and I'm I'm almost crying, I think, and I'm
I don't know if you're crying.
We stayed, and I was like, John, I can't do this. And he's like, well, what have you been eating? And I'm like, just gels. And he's like, oh, you need a bar. And I was like, I can't eat one. Like my stomach fucking hurts.
Is that when you were still vegan too?
I don't know.
Oh yeah, he was fake vegan.
Fake vegan, probably. So he gives me this bar, and I'm just like chewing. I'm choking on it. It's so fucking dry. And then I'm like, I'm feeling better. And he's like, are you feeling better, buddy? And so we do this 1,000 fucking foot thing. It was like fucking terrible. And I'm using the fucking poles. I'm stopping along the way. And he's like, do you want my jacket?
So John's fucking naked at the end of this. He's
basically wearing everything that I brought, and I have all of his shit and more because it got fucking cold. It was like 20 degrees. We were talking like, as soon as we get to the car, I'm just going to turn the fucking heat on, and we're just going to sit in there and probably fall asleep. But we end up doing the 30 miles, and then I'm like, hey, we're not to the car. Where the fuck is the ending? And so we do another mile and another mile.
Oh, you're tracking on your watch.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. There's mile markers or whatever. I'm like, and I get to a point where I start getting mad at John. He doesn't know. Like, he's never done this either. I'm like, John, where the fuck is the ending? I think I'm going to fucking die. It got to a point where, like, if I had to step up a step, I was like, stepping up like a little trail step or whatever. And so it ends up almost being 40 miles.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not 30.
Yeah, it was fucking not 40. And then we finally see the car, and I'm like, and I'm like trailing along, and we get in the car, and I just fucking turn up the heat, and we're just sitting there, and the wind is fucking howling. So we haven't set up camp or anything. So I'm like, there's no place to put stakes down for a tent. So I'm finding these big rocks, and I'm like tying the ropes around it. And
I remember that.
It gets all set up, and he's trying to cook, and the wind's so much he can't even keep the fire going. So he went in the back of my Honda Fit, and opens the back, and he's trying to just cook this bullshit food for us. That like, and I bought
just something warm.
I bought vegan fucking food, which I'm like it's like lentils and shit. I'm like, I need something fucking fuel my body, and so we're sitting in the car, and we have the heat on. We're eating this bullshit soup, and we're looking at the tent. And the tent is just doing this. It's basically
like flapping?
The top is slapping the ground. And John's like, yeah, we're not sleeping in that tonight. And we see other campsites, and tents are flying in the air. People that aren't in them.
Oh, so a storm was...
It's just fucking windy as shit.
It was just wind. Yeah, it was just wind.
And so tents were flying. People were sleeping in their cars. And so that's what we did. We got bullshit sleep in the car. My little Honda Fit, we're like leaning back, and we're like... Got bullshit sleep to the point where like, I think I'm done sleeping. Let's just get out of here. We fucking drive back. But that's one of those. But he was used to shit not going as planned. So he was like content.
You just fucking roll with it.
So I know not to ever run with you.
Well, the only time you did run with me, I tried to break your leg.
Yeah.
Oh, you remember that?
Dude, I remember
the seesaw?
that. Yeah.
The seesaw, yeah.
Like, I was trying to keep up with you. And that was a fucking mistake. That was the first mistake, trying to keep up with him. Because the way you were gliding on fucking, you look like Star Wars guys just fucking gliding on the fucking little hills. I was about to say mountains, but we weren't running at mountains.
It was like fake hills or something.
It is close to hills.
And I was like, at this point, I think I was like, out of me, you, and James, I think at this point I was like in the best running shape. So I was like, I fucking got this.
Yeah, you got this.
I'm gonna twinkle toe it.
Yeah, I fucking got, John ain't got fucking shit on me. And then we went over the fucking seesaw. And right when I heard you say, I forget what exactly you said. You said
probably like to stay back a little bit.
Stay back. Yeah, there was a word you said. Like,
I don't remember.
And by the time I processed it, I was already, it was too late.
Right.
And it fucking just if I was one step closer, it probably would have nailed me right in the chin.
Oh,
but it just got my foot. It got my hand, and then it knocked my watch off.
So this trail's a bike trail. We did not have to do the seesaw. But
we put the seesaws that were fun.
I was running everything that he was running.
So we were running.
I'm naturally going to run the seesaw.
Yeah. You got to do the seesaw. But there's plenty of room to go around the seesaw. And so John gets on the seesaw, and naturally the seesaw comes up, and John's really close to John Van Sweden, and then it pops up, and does it hit you in the shin? Or
yeah, I think you ran into the end of it. Right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I stopped it. I was about to step up, and I saw it moving, and so I spread my legs, and I was like this, like putting both hands down on it.
Yeah.
And I missed it. It grazed my watch, and I think it caught my watch. It broke my watch off. But I think that's what stopped it. Is like my watch.
And you were kind of down there for a second, right?
I think.
Well, yeah, because Hicks was whining like that whole he was not having fun that run.
No, Hicks is not.
He likes perfect conditions.
He's not a hill runner.
Yeah, so like the 30 feet of elevation gain on that trail was too much. Well, then he didn't like trails either.
Well,
right?
he did. He
was all road.
Yeah,
like,
we were all. I mean, that's all we have here. It's fucking road.
He had the road shoes on.
Right, because didn't he have like his little carbon 12
he was slipping around
2-ounce shoes that he loved?
Yeah, I mean that's all we have here though in fucking. Brazoria County is straight pavement.
No, actually, you still have trails. You just didn't realize.
Yeah,
I mean, trail-ish.
We all had road shoes except for you, and we're slipping around and slipping on those roots.
Yeah,
I remember falling on my face a couple of times. Like I hate tripping.
I think that run was when I started wearing ultras, or I bought my first ultras after that.
Could be, yeah.
I think after that,
they go a long ways, especially that fucking on that trail or whatever. But.
Did you ever stretch?
No.
You don't do shit. You don't train.
What the fuck, dude?
What's stretching?
That's bullshit. That pisses me off.
You failed one time. What is that?
Oh, I've failed numerous times.
But what is that one that y'all had to do twice? Berea.
Oh, Ouray?
Ouray, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So that's all part of this, right? Like, so every time that I actually tried to like do something like and take the lead and like run something myself, fucking quit. Like,
really?
I've never actually completed a run for myself.
Oh shit.
So I tried to do Ouray with Adam because Adam had tried to do it in the past and had missed the cutoff by like 20 minutes. So it's it's like a 24-hour cutoff, and like he physically couldn't get himself down the last mountain. He had like an hour and he just physically couldn't. He was like crawling down this mountain, and he missed the cutoff by like 20 minutes. So they didn't give him his belt buckle.
God.
Right. So that's the thing with ultras. Like they give you like your finisher prize is typically a belt buckle or something. I have a total of 0.
Damn, dude.
I've never actually finished an ultra. So I've run the distances. I've never finished a race of anything over. The longest race I've ever finished is a marathon.
What ends up getting you though? Like, so what are all the conditions the pain cave is fucked. So like the thing that it's not really like a tired thing for me. It's always my fucking legs, because I never was conditioned when I would run with you. I know you aren't either, but first thing to go for me is I'll start cramping like crazy. Like I'll start getting these things in my calves and my quads and my hamstrings, and it's like you really can't bounce. There's a certain point where you can't bounce, but you need like to sleep or something to like recover from cramps.
So like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know how true any of that is. I've been in the depths of like super bad pain and cramps and come out of it without stopping.
Really?
A lot of it's just figuring out what your body needs in that moment. And that's where a lot of that stuff I kind of would rely on. Adam was much better about that stuff than I ever was. But no, like I've had runs go horrible bad, like bad. I had a run that I did with Adam at some point where I like completely cramped up. Like I was cramped up in the fetal position, like laying, like I couldn't, like Adam had to like push me into the back of his truck, and not like he's driving us back from this trail that we were on, and I'm just laying in the back fucking shaking in the fetal position, completely cramped, like in complete and total pain. And like I think he stopped, and we stopped at like a gas station and got like probably chips for salt and like Gatorade. And I'm just sitting, like he's like thinking like he's gonna have to take me to the hospital, because I'm like literally in the fetal position, just shaking. And he's like, but by the time like we get back to my car where I was parked, I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm good.
That did the trick.
The fucking chip. What kind of chips were they?
I don't know.
Sponsorship? Dorito?
Little Lays?
Yeah.
What's your flavor? Huh?
Barbecue? What are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure I don't remember, but yeah. So like, it's just like your body needs something. But there's a lot of shit that like all sorts of runs that have gone horrible. We've done a lot of dumb shit.
Do you talk to yourself when you run? Like, did you like to motivate yourself? Did you?
Not really. Like to
get you out of this.
Yeah. I don't understand. Well, everyone has what works for them. So what is your thing that you do whenever you're in the depths?
So so like when I run by myself, like I'm in my head a lot. Like that's kind of therapeutic, but I don't really have to push myself through a lot of pain a lot of the time. So like, I think I'm trying to, like, I really don't remember like where, like, I think it's just determination. Like you got to do it. So,
but do you segment it? Like, I realize with those kind of runs, you can't think about the end. You have to think about the next mile at a certain point. Like, because like when you're in the pain cave or whatever, it's like you don't know if you're going to make the next mile. So if I think too far ahead, I want to quit, and I'll start negotiating in my head. Like,
I'll do sections.
Yeah, I'll just quit early, or I'll just do this or I'll do that. But like, I'm like, all right, the next tree, I need to make it to that tree.
Yeah, I think there's some of that. So, like, I talked a little bit about this earlier. Like, a lot of the stuff that Adam and I did, there were no escapes. Like, there was no bailouts. Like, so some of the runs that, like, we did a run for Buckskin Gulch where it's like a 50-mile run, and we dropped the car at the end, and we got someone to drive us to the beginning. It's 50-mile runs. Through that whole run, you can get out of that canyon in 2 spots. And if you don't get out of the canyon in those 2 spots, you have to go the whole length. And so, like, there's no choice. Like, you just have to do it. And yeah, a lot of the times you end up in death march, like, where you're just grinding it out, and there's no really thinking about not doing it. I know, like, when I've hurt myself or when runs really went sideways, there was definitely that negotiation, and like, if I just make it to here, I can get out here, or how can I get out, or things like that. But for the most part, it's just because I was always in a position of doing it for someone else. It was always a team, like, it was always in it with somebody. So there's like not wanting to like bail, or not wanting to disappoint, or like whatever those motivations are. Like, I had to be there because so like a lot of that time, like he didn't really have those things going through my head. It was just like, how do I get through this? And it's just like, just grit it out. And so that's what it was always like for me, is like, I always, like, it helped me, like, I kind of compared it to real life. Like, there's no, like, in real life, like, when shit goes sideways, when you're in hard spots and your life's difficult, like, most of those circumstances, they're somewhat self-inflicted, but once you're in them, like, especially there's other people, like, when it's with, like, kids or family's life or just different things going on, like, once you're in it, you got to get through it, no matter how painful it is. So it was a lot of that same sort of thing. You just focus on what you got to do, and you do what you got to do, and you just keep going. And so like that's where all those runs and all those situations and all of that, like doing the really hard stuff and grinding it all out, actually for me it translated back to my personal life and like going through divorce and having tough situations with kids, and it made all that stuff super easy. You didn't stress out about it. You know that you can get through it. And so like you do the hard stuff and you just keep doing what you got to do. You keep doing what you know is right. You keep doing, and you just trust and have faith that like, if I do and keep going, I'm going to get through it. And there is an end. And that's where all that stuff came full circle for me. So, no matter how dumb the situations were or how much stupid shit we got ourselves into, like I always knew that so many people have done this stuff. Like I trusted and had faith that I could do it. So even no matter how unprepared I was, like I was prepared enough that like I trusted my body. So like, so long as I keep doing what I had to do, I was going to get through it. And pain was never really an issue. Like pain's temporary. Pain's not something to stop you. Like brokenness, like you break something, you can't physically do it. That's one thing. Something hurting, fuck that. Like just keep going. Like pain's not worth your time. Pain's, I mean, that shit's fucked me before though, right? Because like pain elevates your heart rate. Like eventually it does things that physically affect you. Like I've been up a creek because I pushed through stuff, but at the same point in time, like for the most part, those things are, you can only feel so much pain. Like eventually you get through it all. So like that's where all this stuff kind of, I had a lot of parallels with real life versus all this ultra running and stuff like that, where it was always about being willing to face whatever came and not over prepping or over preparing. Like just go into it, be prepared mentally and physically as possible, and whatever comes and just roll through it.
I think there's something with distance running that transcends, or I guess can be paralleled to life, but I don't think you get that same feeling and thought with short distance running, like running every day. You can tap into it, but like,
no, I would agree.
You know, there's something about running long distance, like 10 miles or even more. I think that's the distance for me anyway.
Yeah.
Where you can tap into like your social or like soulfulness life. And
yeah, it becomes more than the routine, right? Like life in general is not that hard. Like we make our own drama. Like we live in the fucking US. Like there's nothing terribly difficult about any of our lives in the day to day. Like it's pretty fucking easy, right? At a very superficial level, right? Life becomes harder when you start having more purpose and you try to live more intentionally. Then life gets a lot harder. But that's where all your reward is too. Like going and running 5 miles every day, like that's that's not pushing you outside of your comfort zone. No. Like that's just like, oh, I'm just getting exercise. But you go past that. You start having a purpose and having like pushing yourself beyond your easy comfort levels. That's when it starts becoming real. So get yourself outside your comfort zone, like put yourself in a situation where like you have to finish. Like you run a 5K, you can walk home. Like no matter what happens, like you can fucking crawl home if you need to, right? You go put yourself in running 50 miles in the wilderness, it changes things, right? So that's where all that stuff really relates to me. Like I've lived different time periods in my life. I've lived with a lot of purpose. I've lived without a lot of purpose. The times where I lived without purpose, they were really, really easy but unrewarding, right? When you're living with purpose, it's a lot harder. Shit sucks sometimes. You have a lot more bad days, but they're also so much more rewarding and so much more fulfilling at the end of it. And that's the same thing with running. It's kind of like where running kind of paralleled all that. Like some of the best runs that I've ever had they weren't necessarily smooth or great runs, but they meant something. Yeah. And for me, like all that ties into service too. Like when I was running for myself, I never felt great about any of them. Like they didn't really mean anything to me. And it's the same thing in life. When I'm living for myself or trying to put myself forward or do things for my own ease or money or whatever, that stuff is all pretty empty or unfulfilling. But when I'm living like for my kids or doing things or living for God or whatever, like living to something bigger than myself, that's when life really comes alive. And that's where running really came alive for me too.
That's good stuff. Want to go out and run right now. Wow. I think one of the coolest things I learned when I was in the shit, like we're just, going back to running, is like the waves of life. Because the waves of running is like there's ups and downs, and you're going to get, you're going to go, to get the ups again. And it's like once you start learning that, like when you're, like maybe you're mile 12 or something, you're like, fuck, I don't know if I'm going to make it. But then the next mile, you're like, oh, I felt good. Yeah. And the next mile is like, oh, I feel like shit again. It's kind of like the waves of life, too. Like, you got to have your bad days or your bad moments, but it's going to come back around eventually. Like a nice lesson you can learn from really nothing, too. You're just fucking running and trying to accomplish something, run the distance. But there's so many times I'll start really working through my shit in my head. And I'll just start crying sometimes when I'm running around here. I did a couple 22-mile runs around my neighborhood, which is two laps for 1 mile. It was 44 laps around my block. And, man, I would just think of I don't know, you tap into something emotional and you start thinking about your life and where you've come or the bad things you've done. And you just start, I sink into them and I'm like, I'll just start crying. I'll fucking run and
it all just comes out.
Yeah, it's therapeutic. You're working through something that's unexplainable.
Right.
So there's something to working through hard times. That's just like therapy. You start talking about your shit, start putting it out on the table. It's emotional. It's hard once you get through it.
But I think it's the connection between physical exertion and emotional exertion. There's parallels to all that stuff too, and a lot of the times that's where I think a lot of people find running therapeutic, is because you are in your head, right? It's a very individual thing, right? So you're physically exerting, sometimes you're going through physical pain and things like that, but then when your body's feeling good, then you get in your head and then you start processing your mental stuff and your emotional stuff, and a lot of that, then the physical side just becomes kind of in the background. You get in a zone, and you start processing a lot of that stuff, and you go through a lot of those same cycles too. And it just kind of pours into yourself. A lot of the times, like if you go back and I don't know, like some people are all really techie with their runs, and they're monitoring their heart rate and all that shit.
He's not a tech person.
I did that. That's me.
Yeah.
For sure.
So, if you do pay attention, like, like where your mental state was in some of those runs, like you can see where you were mentally in your heart rate.
Mm-hmm. And you can trick it too.
Yeah.
You can just by listening to different music, you can.
Right. So like that's like we're so much more connected, and all this stuff is much more connected than most people realize. And you just, like, for me, I leaned into a lot of that. And so when I was doing the hard runs and doing a lot of that stuff, it was helping me on all the other stuff going on in my life too. And that's, if I didn't have both things going on, like if I didn't have the running and that, I think my whole personal life and like all that stuff would have been drastically different too.
So now that I know that you're not too jazzed to do those kind of things anymore and you want to transition to something else, I mean, what do you want to do in the future to kind of fill that void or get that kind of therapy?
So like it's running, like my body, it's not that I don't want to do it. I don't have the motivation, but I don't know. Like right now where my focus is I'm obviously life has completely changed. So like when I was doing all this stuff, I was pretty much single, and I just, like, every other week I had my kids. And so like when I didn't have my kids, I was just doing this stuff and running and doing that stuff. Now I'm with Steph and my fiance, and like looking more towards an actual future with somebody else again. And that looks a lot different. So life outlook's a lot more different. So just transition to service and like finding purpose. A lot of the big stuff that she is kind of looking forward to in her future is like medium and long-term mission work. And like people are built different, right? So she has a sense of purpose in herself. My sense of purpose has always been of service to other people, especially people that I care about. And the thing I don't really have a lot of purpose for myself. And it's paralleled in my running, right? Like whenever I try to run for myself, never wanted anything. But when I ran to help Adam and to help other people, I was always really able to make a real impact. So looking forward for me, it's finding ways to help and enable her to live out her purpose. It's my role that I feel drawn to and most successful in and fulfilling for me is an act of service and an act of support. I'm out of the spotlight, really doesn't matter. Like, it's not about me. It's helping bring things possible to other people I care about. So like for me right now, like looking at just how to figure out how to enable that for her. I mean, between the two of us, we've got 8 girls, so like it's like logistically like
That's wild, dude.
Figuring out like how to make all this stuff work and really lean into her calling, enabling that sort of stuff. And that's where I feel most at home and most fulfilled. So I think like there's just a lot of new stuff I got to figure out. Like, I've done the adventures, I've done a lot of this stuff, and so like it's now learning to do it with somebody else. Like, it's a different dynamic. And then I don't know like what one thing there is, or if there's anything like an activity that will ever replace running for me. But trying to be just more intentional in redeveloping a home life and things like that. Like I've traveled the majority of my adulthood where I've been gone every other week. I've lived out of a suitcase for damn near 20 years probably at this point. So for a long time I didn't have a home, like I didn't have a house. I rented. Everything was at home was designed to be super easy. That doesn't work when you have other people that are home all the time. So calling back to having an established home life is different for me. It's been really rewarding and fulfilling to get back to that. It's something I never actually expected to get back to. I kind of thought like I was going to be a Rolling Stone for forever and kind of be comfortable in that role. But building something is been really good the last year or so. So I don't think that there's going to be running or anything like that. It's going to be something new. Exercise and activity will always be a part of my life just because like I enjoy like the effort and the hard work that physical and like doing physical activity is. And then it's good for you. So like I like doing hard things because it reminds you that hard things are worth doing. So that will always exist, but I don't think it will be any one specific thing. Like this year, for Steph's 40th birthday, I got her a Tough Mudder. We're going to do a Tough Mudder in August. So like, I'm not like training or doing anything, but like, it's going to be a 10-mile run, and like, she's ultra competitive. So like, there's going to be a certain amount of competitiveness that will go into that. I've started running a little bit more again. Like my knees are not great. But I'm also too stubborn to go figure out what's actually wrong with them. So I just run through it. We went snowboarding for her birthday, and I managed to sprain my ankle and sprain my MCL on my other knee all on the same trip. So like that stuff is like recovering from that. Just dumb shit.
Not surprised.
Bad luck, dude.
Well, luck probably has less to do with it. Lack of skill might have more to do with it.
He also doesn't say no, so he'll try anything.
He reminds me of Jordan Dines, a different, like, Jordan's like, well, it is what it is.
Yeah, that's it. And yours is, it's fine.
It's fine.
Right, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So
not convincing when he said,
no,
it's fine.
Jordan's a videographer, and when we were learning about cameras and stuff, we're like, what happens if, like, you don't plug this in, he's like, well, it is what it is. Like, it's like, and me and Mike are kind of over analytical, and we'll think about things.
Right. So. Yeah. I've never noticed that.
Yeah. Well, we had fun, dude. Appreciate it. We never introduced you, but you're the Jon Van Sweden.
JVS.
The Jon Van Sweden.
When Mike scheduled this, he titled it JVS.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is JVS, dude?
Yeah.
He had to tell me.
So I was just talking to like that the other day. Like, so like I always get asked like John or Jonathan, like I've gone by like my name or whatever. When I was younger, I was always John. And then when I started working, there were like 4 Johns at Moeller's where I work. And so like I went by Jonathan there. So like it was different. And anymore, like I just go by my initials. Like I actually like, my boss calls me JVS. Like barely anyone calls me by my actual name at work anymore. It's all just my initials.
I like JVS.
Like I just sign my signature's JVS. Like I don't like write my name out. Like all my emails at work are just that's my signature line. Like
sufficient.
So it's definitely transitioned. So like more often than not, like people that know me, like relative, like Rob calls me JVS, like Adam, like that's.
Yeah. I wish I had something like that. I'm just freaking Mike.
Yeah,
it's Mike.
You're the do.
Yeah, that stuck somehow.
The dude. Did I make that up or did you make that up?
No, I made a Facebook page when I didn't have Facebook. I didn't want a Facebook, but I entered a contest, and I had to have a Facebook. So I made one with a bullshit name because I didn't plan on keeping it.
You're in my phone as the do.
They send me mail sometimes. I'll order something, and it says Mike Do. I'm like, how the fuck did that happen?
My kids will be
well, I mean, Adam's Facebook is Pierre Leclerc because.
Oh yeah, I never knew who that was for a while. It's like some weird.
Yeah, so Adam. Like it's not Adam. People still ask him what his name is.
Yeah,
that's funny.
So yeah, I mean that's been like going on probably close to 10 years at this point.
Yeah,
because I'm pretty sure Amy made his Facebook for him because she got tired of him using her Facebook, so she made it as Pierre Leclerc. And that's just his Facebook name.
It's a good name, though.
Yeah. Yeah, when he added me, we got off the run, he added me. I was like, who the fuck is this? Looked at the pictures, and I was like, oh, what is this fucking name?
Who is this
I didn't even ask questions. I was like, all right.
Yeah, just accept it.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, we'll do it again when you're in town, man.
Yeah.
Gonna make this like a tradition.
Every Mother's Day.
Every Mother's Day. That's what I hear.
All right, buddy. Well, love you.
Thanks, guys.